I was about to say.
Calm down. That's like breaking big houses here. We're not there yet.
All right.
Tri-state major, though?
Okay, let's see this now. So it looks like we're getting right into it here. Sinji immediately just retreating to the ledge. You know, it's
he's
so
gonna
hard
have to
deal.
He's gonna have to play the long game. And I like this pick of Battlefield. It gives him a lot of space for Vinnie to have to move around to chase him. It's a ton of space for him to play around with his tools. Of course, Pac-Man being known as a trap master of zoning within this game between Fire Hydrant, between his trampoline, and between the variety of bonus fruit that Sinji is a master of utilizing. He's going to have to think on his feet if he's going to get around Vinnie.
Yeah, and one of the things I always love about Sinji is that he plays this, very campy defensive game, but you can see the engineering happen constantly in his brain. It's not like he's just standing there like, charging needles or something. He is like preparing all of his setups, but it seems like he can't do anything at the moment. Vinnie just shutting down it all. That's the first time Sinji has managed to get a hit in, and it's just not comparable to what Vinnie has been delivering so far. When he gets another grab, but going to air dodge the bouncing fish there, but he still can't get back to stage.
It's honestly, it's going to be a hard time for Sinji, and it's just looking like it more and more. Bouncing fish in the neutral just to prove how much of a difficult time Pac-Man has with breaking through the wall of pressure that Sheik presents to this character.
Yeah, and we're seeing the total divide in the two players right now. That might be it.
That is going to be a killing straight off the top for the star KO. Vinnie's going to be taking the lead.
I think that was actually the cross-up up-air DI trap. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on it, but I heard somebody mention that if you cross them up, at the very end of up air, it can really mess with the opponent's DI. I'm not 100% on that.
Sitting at those percentages, though, and Pac-Man being in the weight class that he is, sitting as one of the ever so slightly lighter middleweights, I feel like even messing up DI to that small of a factor really wasn't going to have that big of a difference. That pack was good as gone. Put in another quarter for the boy.
Yeah, and now, so it seems like Sinji finally able to get some mileage, but is it going to be enough, especially when Vinnie is able to turn around so quickly? Oh, he goes for the trump, but Sinji managing to buffer up his option, putting him back on stage. But once again, even when he has stage positioning, well, now he seems to be starting with these combos, but so much of it, he's just, and look, just the shielding and the power shielding that Vinnie is doing, it's so hard for Sinji to get around that given how lackluster Pac-Man's grab is. Although, that was tricky.
Yeah, not enough to get a kill, though. Just enough to put on a good amount of damage and trade stage control in favor of Sinji. The issue really is that there's so much safety behind Sheik's kit that Vinnie manages to maximize. Oh, if he got that power pellet kill would have been race speed, but too little too late. And percentage is really tacking on for Vinnie. Things are just looking, for Sinji rather, things are just looking more and more difficult here.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit telegraphed with that grab. Vinnie jumps way over him and manages to get a punish. But now we have Sheik at 150%. But Pac-Man's all right, the Nair out of shield will actually take it.
Frame 3 Nair finally coming in clutch for Pac-Man, but an 86% deficit. Galaga on board. It's doable. It's certainly doable. But the safety behind all of Sheik's movement is what makes this matchup so indomitable. Sheik has such a free time getting around these traps just because she doesn't have to try to contest them. Everything just naturally gets through it or doesn't have to bother with it.
But don't forget that it's if you watch the way Vinnie, it's just his command of neutral. It feels like every time Sinji tries to approach or even tries to defend against him, he's just ready and waiting with the right option. And now Pac-Man at 126% and less than 2 minutes on the clock. This is the sort of situation where if Sinji's going to take this, he's going to have to tack on enough percent that perhaps a bell or key could close it out early. But Vinnie probably very aware of that.
Oh. All right, that was a bit tricky, and sitting at 144% if there's any further to the right side of the stage, Sinji may have been able to squeak out a win in this game. But a minute and a half on the clock right now, if Sinji keeps playing this at his pace, he's going to have more of those opportunities open up to him.
Okay, the bell not going to do it. He's only able to get up there with an up air.
Oh, power shielding it, bouncing it back, so Sinji's going to have to work his way back to having that bell in hand.
But the thing is, now Sheik is at kill percent, absolutely. but with only a minute left on the clock, will Sinji be able to find that opening that he needs? He goes for a hard read on that down smash, but Vinnie just jumping straight over it. A nair out of shield is going to take it. What a beautiful comeback from Sinji. He was down so much, and he was able to just climb his way back, crawling out of that pit, and taking that game one.
You know, that's the beauty of Sinji's play. And shout-outs to Minnie with the resub. Let's go.
Minnie and Mankey NYC during the match.
Yo, so does that mean?
I will check.
Oh, boy. Excitement's building up on all sides of the stream now as we move ourselves into Game 2. Sinji sitting up a game as we're in Town and City.
All right, and definitely the smaller blast zones will, I'd say, probably benefit Vinnie. He definitely struggled to kill at the end of that last game. Oh, the water doing some confusing things there, but...
If you're not able to keep track of those wind boxes, Hydrant is a lot more tricky of a trap than one would initially think of, instead of it just being a big old hitbox.
Yeah, especially because it just ruins positioning if you're not prepared for it. You know, you throw out the move that you want, and all of a sudden you're halfway across the map. And this game looking a lot more back and forth than we saw at the beginning of Game 1. And, oof. All right, getting back there. Ooh, Vinnie actually going for a hard read. I'm not sure what he was looking for there with that dash away, but he's still managing to have pretty good control overall. He's keeping Sinji in the corner, and it seems like Sinji's all right with that, but after a certain point, he has to approach, and that was a massive damage.
Yeah, if you look at the grand scheme of the momentum behind this set, Sinji doesn't have too much of an issue sitting with a minor percent deficit like we've seen him do throughout this game too. He knows that Sheik is going to have no issue with building up the damage throughout time, and it's this explosive damage that Sinji gets when one of his traps manages to convincingly snare Vinnie. So if he's able to play the long game, he's able to just have the burstier damage where it counts. Sinji's eventually going to win things out just based off the clock and how well he's able to burst Vinnie down better. Especially if Vinnie has issues netting these kills.
I mean, as long as he plays patient, it should be fine. But going in there for that nair, Sinji actually getting a nair of his own. And yeah, Vinnie doesn't quite have to approach now, but the pressure is still on him if he's not careful. Those traps that Sinji is setting up, you know, the more time you give him, the more time he has to come up with the perfect plan.
One thing I'm recognizing out of Sinji, and this is very unique, not just between Pac-Man players, but of Sinji's style. He's setting up Fire Hydrant to give him a passageway to walk, very much like how Mega Man players will utilize Leaf Shields to approach. And in a very unfortunate offstage play from Vinnie, the Power Pellet line is going to be dropping Vinnie down to his last stock, and Sinji on the verge of a 2-0 over a very impressive win.
Has Sinji ever taken this before?
If he has, I can't imagine the set count being too heavily in his favor. This is, as I said earlier, and as we've been seeing throughout, a very difficult matchup for Pac-Man, but...
Oh, he's out of the range for Nair Bouncing Fish. That is actually huge. That is normally one of his best, Cheek's best killing tools, but at this moment, now it's like he's going to have to get a raw F-tilt maybe? I don't even think F-tilt will close out the stock. And the percent just keeps getting tacked on, and against Sinji, that percent is massive because he's not afraid to time you out.
Absolutely. There's a reason we don't do best of 5 for Grands anymore. And you're looking at one half of that monstrous equation. But raw Bouncing Fish is going to bring us Vinnie sitting at that Super Saiyan percentage. And can Sinji hold this stock as well as he did the other?
Keep in mind that now Sheik is the one who has to mount this comeback. So let's see how Vinnie is able to do it while playing from behind, getting a quick, nice damage from that grab combo. Is that going to be it? No.
Excellent DI from Vinnie, and the percentage is just not there enough. But Fire Hydrant was what managed to take him off on that, and now sitting at using the second trampoline hit to hit the Fire Hydrant. I like it. It's cute. And he's got Vinnie sitting at a hell of a deficit right now. 121 and having barely dented into Sinji's wall.
Yeah, and Vinnie's counter pick of going to Town and City might bite him because normally Pac-Man can really struggle to kill, but these smaller blast zones, especially because he's playing Sheik, such a light character, probably means he doesn't have as much survivability as he would like. Oh,
It was really cute from Sinji, utilizing Nair to cross up on Vinnie, forcing him to stay in shield and just eat that damage. The shield pressure that Pac-Man's able to put out is truly underrated, but
This could be big, though.
it is not.
Well, he's still out there. Oh, and a beautiful tech.
He knows how to press those buttons.
And now all of a sudden, this game where Vinnie looked like he was really at a loss, he's already brought Pac-Man up to 100%, but sitting at 142 himself, he can drop it so easily to so many of Pac-Man's options. He has Apple in his hands. Let's see if he will, if that's what he's going to go for.
Bonus fruit is currently charged to Melon, and it's all a matter about if that's going to be his option. He's moving in for Key. He wants that kill power. He wants it fast, and he wants it now. Establishes the fire hydrant, and look at the boost
out there.
So much lift behind that wind box on Bouncing Fish. If Vinny's not careful, that can put him in a really dangerous situation.
He got the read, but ends up not following through on it. Pac-Man still has it, an apple in hand, and it doesn't actually connect on Vinnie, and he's continuing to live, but only 30 seconds on the clock, even less 25. But Nito's Bouncing Fish not going to connect. He's on ledge, but can he find some way to close this out? Definitely Sinji is looking to stall this out. He only has to go for, and there it is!
Man, that final hit just sewn in perfectly. Between the mask and that aqua shirt, he's looking like a surgeon right now. And he's going to need that kind of precision if he's going to try to take this game through with the way that Sinji's playing right now.
Yeah, do keep in mind, though, he did have that unfortunate first stock in that last game where he went off of that edge guard and he missed his tech. But that's part of it. He can't go for super risky stuff like that. But for going into Game 3, let's see if what Sinji can really do to make sure he closes out the stocks. Because that problem that Vinnie had round 1 was his problem round 2.
All right, we're going to be moving into the controls. It appears that Vinny's either moving to his Cloud or his Rosalina, and I would bet Cloud. This is a matchup that Sinji does not like in the slightest. And with very good reason. Cloud, another one of the...
I actually want to point out, last week, Sinji actually came to me, just like Numbers, who's been reevaluating matches like we fit Didians, and Sinji actually said to me, I think Cloud Pack might not be as bad as I originally thought.
And I like that thought process. I personally sit in the same camp for Villager, and I feel like a lot of other character mains where Cloud just looks like an unbreakable wall really needs to be looked at, because every character has some sort of tools. You just got to minimize and maximize what you're using to make the matchup more doable. And I like the Sinji took the time to just let Vinnie get his limit. He knows he's going to get his limit some way, shape, or form. Let him do it in a way that's not going to have too much damage on board while he tries to establish the board and see how he's going to take things as we sit in Battlefield for Game 3.
Yes. And I also want to quickly talk about, so Game 1 we saw Battlefield, but that was Vinnie's Sheik. And the reason why he switched Game 2 is because he had counterpick.
Of course.
So now that they took him, and the big combo
Very cute.
with the lock. Ooh, but not going to, oh, no, that isn't. Wow! Sinji with the huge lead at the moment.
No tech zone. I think Vinnie forgot for a slight moment that he switched his R button to jump, and that muscle memory carrying him into Game 3 may have very well sealed his fate as he's sitting at an incredibly early stock deficit. But there's nearly 5 minutes left on the clock. Sinji only has 94% in counting, and that's a ton of time and a ton of space Sinji has to breathe. Things are looking a lot more doable for the Pac-Man.
But as we're saying that, he falls out of the limit cross slash, but he's at 128%. He's only managed to get 20% extra credit. And just the overall command that Vinnie has right now, if he takes the stock soon, like, he's just been consistently winning neutral and abusing stage control. Like, I don't know what, that entire lead he had just evaporated because Vinnie just played so consistently and strong. If he continues that, this is still looking really rough for Sinji.
Yeah, this might be a pocket Cloud, but you can't be sleeping on it. This character is well and trained, but Sinji, more so than maybe any Pac-Man, is well-versed in this high-level amount of play against Cloud. And I have to take a moment to appreciate that play with the fire hydrant. A very interesting fact about that grab is that there's a tiny wind box that helps propel the opponents into it. It doesn't have that big of an effect on things where you see noticeable movement, but it does have an effect on minor projectiles like the fire hydrants. It's a very interesting trick that I'm surprised we're only just recently seeing out of Sinji, but it definitely caught Vinnie off guard, and it's led to an incredible percentage deficit.
Does he have a limit? He does, and he will be making it back. The forward tilt just barely missing, and this could be the turnaround that Vinnie needed. Now he's at 142%, and we've seen just how much Pac-Man can struggle to kill, even on a character like Cloud. So if he just lets Vinnie get limit again, this is all of a sudden Pac-Man's at death percent. And that is terrifying for Sinji. You don't want that. Blade Beam actually going to clank with the apple. Interesting. And now 90%. He read the getup, but he missed.
Sparks are out. Limit is charged.
What? Oh, okay.
Win boxes occurred. That's all I'm going to say. Just win boxes happened.
Yeah, now Sinji on ledge once again.
The Linux Climate Hazard not going to be able to catch up air, putting Vinnie in that untechable spin animation, but it's not going to be enough. He's sitting at 164%. Sinji with 100% behind him. He gets another grab, goes for the back throw. I like it. Plenty of damage. Nets in that stage control. Reading that, and a Nair out of shield is going to take it, with Sinji taking game 3 over Vinnie.
New York.
All right. Amazing play from both players. Vinnie holding out there, not giving in, but just he mistimes that up smash barely. Sinji gets the shield, the Nair out of shield, taking the set.